guys, I'm doing a little live stream today because I've been working on these little, I like little Dungeons and Dragons, Hero Quest style collectibles just for fun. I have this idea and I'm going to just try to design some characters. Here's some ones that I've shared. Here's the dwarf and the skeleton warrior and the goblin, and then today I finished a little set of bits of furniture like a treasure chest and a door. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I would design another batch of these characters. So we're going to go right to my iPad. You're not going to be able to see my hands. So what I would do is I have these tiles that are drawn to keep them all kind of in the same scale and zone. Then I would put a layer over top of white to kind of fade that out, and then I would start real loosely with a blue line sketch. So here I'm thinking of the characters. So the characters, I'm going to do barbarian, a zombie, and a minotaur. Okay, so those are the 3 characters for today. And I'm going to share with you how I would quickly block out those characters. So each of these live streams, I'm only keeping about 20 minutes. Okay, so first thing, let's think of like a minotaur. Okay, so they're very kind of kidsy. I'm making these kind of kid friendly, so big proportions. Let's give them a big like humpback, and some of the scale will change, but all you're concentrating on right now is just big, fun proportions. Big arms, little hands. Give him like a big battle axe. See, like already it's too intrusive, so what I could do is I could make the battle axe on his shoulder. Now let's keep it his hands. So even if you're just jotting down, this blue line will go away. You have to remember that. This will go away, so this phase is just literally thinking of attitude, proportions, idea. It doesn't even matter if you can't see anything. Okay. I know it looks horrible, looks like nothing's there. And then I'll show you. Here, let's try to develop this a little bit more so you can see it. But normally I would just move on. You can even, now that I've gestured it, you could just start it again. It's like I kind of have an idea. So you're seeing that idea process. Even doing that quick little gesture helps me to figure out what he could be. Okay. It's called sunk cost bias. That first sketch, I was just loosening up. It was horrible, but many times you don't want to let that go because you've invested in it. You just got to learn to sometimes say, like, no, that wasn't working, and you just start again. Don't have the sunk cost bias of thinking the first thing you did was great. Okay. And then what you're doing is you're dropping it down and taking a lighter gray. And I'm just going to quickly sketch that idea a little clearer. Now he'll be drawn one more time after this. Or he'll be cleaned up one more time after this. So it's okay to, again, keep this loose as well. Oh yeah, I gotta get that ring in there. Get a big ring in his nose. See little details like that you start thinking of with the character as you're developing him, but you don't think everything all at once typically. I don't. So it's like proportions. Let's get some muscly back. Erasers or something, and I can use the eraser and you can see the thread. There you go. I like doing these live streams because you're seeing, you know, the struggle. You're trying to come up with an idea and it doesn't always happen right away. Let's just move this blade. There we go. So the idea is these are going to be little collectibles. I want to practice designing them and then sculpting them in Nomad Sculpt and then 3D printing them. The 3D printing, I might not get to that, but at least sculpting them because I've been neglecting Nomad Sculpt and I really don't want to lose that skill. I love sculpting. That's a great program. I think if I put sandals on him, he'll look Greek. Again, keeping him in the realm of the other figures. Now, what's good about Procreate is you can warp. See, I can just warp his upper body a little bit, just changes. Scale some things differently. So that's good for a quick gesture, and I'll clean him up again. So I'll move on now to a barbarian. Okay, so just gesturing in. You know, you could put perspective lines down, but for these figures are so cartoony and kind of silly that I'm fine just going for it. Okay, now you just see, now that I have something gestured, I can at least scale it to fit the tile. Okay, and I'm not really concentrating on designing the sword. I'm just getting the shape. Yeah, I want him to have this crazy huge sword. Okay. Crazy look in his eye. Okay. Where's the abs would go? Maybe a big belt buckle. Maybe it's, oh yeah, let's get the fur. You see how, you know, you draw the knee where you think it would be, and then you move it to where it should be. So, again, that's what this gesture phase is for. And I'm designing as I go, so, okay, that's pretty cool looking. I like him. So I'm doing a hero and two, like monsters. That's each one, the hero and two monsters. So let me go for a zombie here. Okay, let's get a zombie pose. Now I have to imagine these are going to be really tiny little sculpts that are 3D printed. So some of this you'll lose when you actually sculpt it because you're making a figurine. So some of this will become like one big blob. But right now, I'm not getting all wrapped up in that. I'm just trying to think of the idea. So like I can't have hair like this. You see what I mean? So some of that I am thinking of. But you know, the hair would have to be part of his body. Like you're creating a miniature. I can't have every finger. Okay, scale him. And then thicken some things up here. Okay, and then I can even play around with warping it a little. Okay, that's the gist of that. And bring the opacity down. And then you can kind of sketch from here. somebody asked me what the plan was for these in the community tab, and it really is just to pick a project to practice. So I had this idea, and then I'm going, okay, the first thing I would always start with is drawings. So this doesn't mean this may go any further than this, but at least it's going to be further than just the idea in my head. So I'm like, let's make a tiny dungeon. So that's a, the starting point. And I go, I want to make these figures. I want to use this as an exercise to create my own little figurines. So now I'd start with the drawings. Okay. Okay, and then you can think, okay, what does a sword look like? Maybe it's a little curved like this. Then once you have things blocked out, you can think of the design a little bit better. And then when you clean it up, you can refine the design if you wanted to. Here, you could play with the blade shape. Maybe make it a little more curved. I think it's realizing you can, because you have layers, you can draw it again. You just experiment with things and realize that each phase of designing something, you can make adjustments as you go. Okay, liking him. I got a couple more minutes, so let's try to refine the zombie a little bit. He was a mess. There we go. And keeping it fun, keeping it playful, but he's still a zombie. There we go. I'm not making him too gross, but keep it. See some of his skull. That hair. And I haven't done too many tiny things with 3D printing, but let's see, I'll probably pick some winners to try this and then print them out and see how it translates. These printers are pretty amazing. They can get some pretty small things. I'll put a rope around his waist. Kind of like a bumpkin. Bumpkin zombie. Okay. turned in. Okay. Getting close to the end of this session, which would be perfect timing for me finishing this zombie. Okay. See the bone in there. Just some little indicators of rottenness. Yeah, so that's how I would kind of approach messed up zombie. Okay, and I'm just cutting out the blue line. Make him separate because I want to mess around with the proportions just a little bit. Okay, I can warp them together now. There we go. Not bad. For a quick little session here, I've roughed out all 3 of the characters, and then I would then from here clean them up, and I'll probably do another live stream showing you that process so that you can see the next step of it in the process of designing these little dungeon characters. So till next time, keep drawing and keep designing.